everybody. Welcome to Coming Up Roses. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kelly, and today is Saturday, December 10th, 2022. Welcome to episode 84.
2022 winding down.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it's not 2022, and I was like, damn, we have to do it again because I messed up. It is 2:59, and I literally just really woke up and showered like 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, you got up and then you basically had some breakfast and went right back to bed.
And I did. I'm going to rename. Now I have this little thing here.
Yeah,
COVID test.
Somebody's going to the store later. I wonder who that's going to be.
I'm going to rename the bedroom the recovery room on Saturdays because that's really what it is. Just
had a rough
straight
week.
Recovery. I had a good week.
It was a real good week, but you had some stress this week.
I mean, yeah. We had our first kindergarten program performance for parents in years.
For a long time. Since before the
pandemic, at least in the pandemic, but I think even since before the pandemic.
Probably since Joe was there.
For kindergarten, I honestly don't know. So anyway, the week was fraught with details and planning, and the kids were a little hyped up because it was a full moon cycle this week, which I'm trying to decide if the full moon affects them or me. Because yeah, but not in good ways, because they were just
wound science up behind that though.
I know. Moon, yeah. I know. We can. Every teacher's like, it has to be full moon. But the night of the program went off. It was very cute. The kids amazingly look like 100 times cuter on the stage with them, with other kids their age singing. They look littler and sweeter than they do in the classroom. Like in the classroom, you're like, you little hellions.
You know what that is, though? Because their parents are there, or their person is there.
I guess I'm looking at them through more of a.
No, I think it's like Tilly. All right, so Tilly has got all these different moods, right? Like there are times where she's total badass and barking and angry and attack mode and all of this, but the second you're snacking on something, she puts on the soft face and she puts on the soft eyes.
Well,
and she's got this look on her face. It's like, yes, I'm here and I really love you.
I mean, I could see that if the kids were perfectly well behaved and sweet on stage, which they were not. But I saw the humor and the cuteness in that, like the parents probably do. As the teacher, I'm like, oh my God, someone tell that child to turn around. Stop climbing up and down those. Like literally all the teachers were sitting together because we didn't really have anything to do with the performance.
Yeah.
We walked them in and then we sat down and watched.
Yeah, your job was to get them in and out.
Yeah, we were basically just herding them in. Our TAs are the real heroes, and the music teacher was the real heroes because they were the ones that were in rehearsals with them and all.
Shout out Robin and Joy.
So I just sat and watched, and we were like, oh my God, did he just climb up on that top? Is he climbing? Where'd that one go? Like, oh my God, they like literally it was, but funny, you have to then really remember to edit yourself because you're surrounded by all the parents.
Yeah, because you can't be like, what the fuck?
Well, not that I would do that anyway, but not in that setting anyway. But they were really sweet and it went off without a hitch. It was fun, but tiring. This week was tiring.
Yeah. You've been tired all week.
I have.
You even drove yourself to work one day this week because
that was the other thing. I had to do my CPR training to get my license renewed. Teachers in Virginia have to be CPR hands-on certified.
And you had to use the zapping machine and everything else.
Yeah, which was not a big deal, but it's like one of those things that just hangs over you. Because there's a very long list of competencies and certificates and all you have to have or have redone, depending on when the last time you got your license. And so I was having to get my license renewed every 5 years. And the list of things, and print this certificate, print that certificate, do this training. And I mean, it's the packet's like this thick with stuff, keeping track of all that. And the only thing I had left was the CPR thing. And that just did not have that hanging over me anymore. I can get my license. I can't put the application in until the first of the year. but I can submit my teacher renewal license for the last time in my career because that now they have a 10-year license renewal. So it'll be renewed for 10 years. And my plan is to be retired in 10 years, which sounds crazy.
I know it does.
Because what am I going to do after that?
Walmart greeting or Cola Street full time.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
we'll see.
But that being done, it was just a lot of things. And I made one of the hugest flubs in my teaching career that backfired on me in the most spectacular fashions.
Well, to go back a few years when the Elf on the Shelf started.
I hate Elf on the Shelf, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I never had kids and had to do that at home because
the elf would not move.
Cheers to the parents who've said fuck Elf on the Shelf. We're not doing that because I heard one person said they just put him in a mason jar and screwed the lid on and wrote in quarantine, and they just leave him in the same place all the time, which
that's hilarious.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
But it's brilliant marketing because basically every kid's got to have one. And other kids talk to each other. You don't have an elf? Well, you must be a horrible kid. And then you're like pressured into getting one. You're like, God damn it!
It's so much pressure, and I feel it in the schools too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had one for the classroom for the last few, however long Elf on the Shelf has been around. Maybe not quite that long.
It's been a while.
And it's a pain because it comes with all kinds of rules. Like the kids aren't allowed to touch it because they'll lose his magic. Try that in a room full of 5-year-olds, setting up your elf somewhere where they aren't going to touch it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And then trying to be creative and put him in new positions and watch. I mean, the first year I had it, of course, someone touched him, which set off a thing with my other kids about how, he lost his magic and they were all so sad. And so I had to literally Google search how to bring your magic back to an elf. Because God forbid I do the wrong thing and their parents are doing something different. And, so we had to take cinnamon and circle cinnamon around him while we were singing Jingle Bells or I don't know, something like that.
Jesus Christ.
So this year, the elf has made appearances in all the adjacent classrooms. My class, I feel like, is a hot mess a good amount of time. And there's
because you got all these COVID kids.
I have
kids have been locked up
20 students, and 5 of them are a handful. Mm-hmm. And not in a way that they're like starting fights, or it's just tattling and bickering and talking and not paying attention, and just that complete lack of understanding of like how to share. They're missing a lot of skills, which we're working on. But
they've been locked up for 3 years.
So have I.
Yeah, well, that's not your entire life. 3 years to you is nothing, but 3 years to them,
well, they don't know different.
Is their entire life.
Well, it's the lack of parent trying to teach them anything while they were locked up.
Yeah, that's true too.
Not with even the majority, but there's a handful. So I've been very slow to bring out Elf on a Shelf because I know it's going to whip them up into a holiday frenzy, which I remember as a kid. I just don't want to deal with it while I'm trying to teach, because I still have to teach. I can't just say, the whole month of December is going to be nothing but fun. So I've been waiting. My elf's name is Rockstar. So trying to find something to motivate these children to apply some self-control skills that they know. Taught them the skills, they just aren't applying it. So in a moment of weakness, while I was waiting for them to settle, I just was like, did you just see that? And they were like looking around like, what? And I said, right on top of the speaker up there on the wall, I just saw a little red flash. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, this is how I'm going to introduce the elf, right? They were like, no, I didn't see it. I said, oh, okay. Well, I don't see it anymore. It was kind of weird. And I was just going to let it go. They were not going to let it go. They literally saw red flashes all over that classroom for the rest of the day. Like that was in the morning. I saw one in the bathroom. I saw it in the hallway. Like, what is going on? This is really weird today. Like they were very invested in what that was. And it was a little 2-second comment that I made. So later in the day, during our hardest, most difficult time to focus part of the day, every day, I was again just sitting there waiting for them to settle. It takes a very long time for them to settle. And I'm not just going to keep, if I just sit here long enough, most of them will realize what's going on. So I was just sitting, and we have these paper lanterns. They look like little Chinese balls of different colors, and they hang over each table. So we have a red table and a blue table and a green table. So I was sitting there and I went like that. That's all I did. I just looked at the red one and I went, I didn't say a word. And I saw like 4 of the kids who pay attention to me turn around and look. And I said, did you see that too? And they were like, what? I said, something just like peeked out of the bottom of the red, we call them red balloons, the red balloon. It was utter pandemonium in the classroom. They went batshit. And some of them almost on the verge of tears and wanting to go home. Like, I never thought it would have gone that way. Robin comes back from lunch and they immediately, 2 or 3 of them immediately run up to her. Something really weird is happening in here. I just want to go home. I want to go home
the fuck
today.
out of
and
here.
I'm literally sitting there like,
you're like, I fucked up.
What did I do? Never have they go. Well, then it's a ghost. There's a ghost in the room. Our classroom is haunted. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like they're going to go home and tell their parents our classroom is haunted because Miss Rose saw a ghost. I swear. I was like, we just need to move on. Like, we just need to, like, there was no moving on. We weren't moving on.
The mystery has to be solved. There's a mystery. The mystery has to be solved.
So
this tells us why Orson Welles was so successful with the War of the Worlds. Like it was like people just will believe it. Tommy and Rumble did a thing where
Mount
Trashmore. They said Mount Trashmore. There's a report that it's about to explode, and people lost their shit.
Yeah, if you don't live in Virginia Beach, we have it. Years and years ago, it was a landfill, and they covered it over and they turned it into a park. And it's 2 big hills. There's a skate park, a kids park, a little lake. It's really a picnic area. It's like it's very popular in the
city. But they have little vents in it to let
the methane
out because the buildup of methane.
It is decomposing garbage underneath it.
But it's not a problem. It's never been a problem. But as a joke on April Fool's Day, which these people were famous for doing April Fool's jokes, they let out like they were doing a real broadcast that the Trashmore was about to explode. There's people out there, and then that it did explode. Well, people lost their
they were calling 911. Oh, yeah, it was bad. They were kicked off the air for a while.
They got in a lot of trouble over that shit.
So anyway, here I am sitting there. I'm looking at Robin like, what the hell do I do now? She's looking at me like, what the hell did you do? And I was just like, I can't get them back on. Now I have one student who has a very large imagination. And when she gets pulled into it's almost like a loop. She gets into that imaginative thing and you almost can't get her out of it. There's not really anything you can do to break her out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She starts going, it's a ghost. Guys, we need to find the ghost and kill it. Like she's rallying the troops. I'm not even exaggerating. And she starts marching around in a circle. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And I'm like, all right, look, everybody calm down. We looked up in there. I look in the balloon. Is there anything there? No, there's nothing there. They checked all the other balloons. There's nothing. Then they started seeing the red flashes again. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like only
Well,
a
with
few
you
times in
standing
my
at that door,
career,
you were
well,
brilliant.
only a few times in my career have I been standing in a classroom going, I have no idea how to de-escalate this nightmare that I have started. So
She said, I done fucked up,
I
Aaron.
go over to Robin while they're all marching in a circle, deciding to like rally the troops and go find and kill this ghost or whatever it is in this room. And I said, I'm gonna step out in the hall for a minute. And she's like, okay. So I grab a notebook and I leave. Probably not the best idea. But anyway,
Robin's probably like, bitch, you ain't leaving
she's
right
like,
now.
thanks for leaving me alone because this is what happened. I was not out of the room 3 minutes, right? So I go down to where they can't see me if they look out the window of the door. And I start writing a note in elfin handwriting, which requires me turning the paper weird, moving my arm weird. Now, anybody watching this on a camera somewhere, it's gonna be like, what the hell? I'm writing,
Writing a kidnap note.
dear, dear Mrs. Rose's class. I peeked in on you a couple times today and saw that you were having a hard time settling down and focusing. I really want to come and visit. So when the room is calm, then I'll know it's time that I can come visit. Love, Rockstar the elf. And so I'm writing this note, and another teacher friend of mine walks by, and I was like, hey, can you do me a quick favor? I said, I have set off, I don't know what, Armageddon in my classroom in it unintentionally. I've lost control. If I give you this note, fold it, will you, when you walk by the door, just sneak it, slide it under the door? Because if I just suddenly find a note, they're going to be like, oh, something's up, right? Can't be in my handwriting because then the smarter kids will be like, oh, Mrs. Rose wrote that note. So whatever. I come back in the room. Now, in the 3 minutes I was gone out of the room, and I'm one door away. I'm not down the hallway on the other side. I'm one door away. I hear all the commotion happening in the classroom. I go in, there are two other teachers who've been called in via radio for reinforcements.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, this is not good. I go in with them. My child, who gets very deep into the imagination, has decided to throw a complete and utter shit fit. She is laying on the counter or kicking the walls and whatever. So reinforcements had to be called in to try to like persuade her to leave the classroom. There's literally shit everywhere. So they get her, come on, let's go. We're going to go, play with the sand table or do something. She needs to leave like the setting to break the loop, basically, is what needs to happen. She needs to be put in a different place for a few minutes. They get her out. I'm like, all right, guys, come on. We need to start calming down. Let's get this room cleaned up. Look, there's chairs everywhere. Like, it was really, the way I remember it, it was horrid. And so we're getting cleaned up, and I turn around and I see the paper on the floor from that my friend had slid under the door. And I said, guys, like, aren't you cleaning up anything? You're just leaving your stuff all over the floor. So I picked the paper up and I'm like, oh, this is a note. And they're like, who's it from? What's it say? What's it say? I'm like, I don't know. Like, everybody get your stuff cleaned up. Meet me at the carpet. So they all come over and they're sitting down, and I'm like, okay. And I read the note, and they went, oh, that's what it is. That red flash.
Mystery solved.
That is the elf. And I said, oh, Rockstar. Rockstar's been my classroom elf for a few years, but he doesn't really like loud classrooms. He likes calm, quiet classrooms. So he peeks in to see if it's okay for him to come in. He must have been peeking in, and I just kind of happened to see it. Oh, okay. Whew. And then it was like, we were fine. And that probably happened over like a 10-minute time frame. I have never in my life experienced mob revolt from a group of 5-year-olds like that. Like, where I was like, what the hell? So the next day I went in and I said, okay, look, we know Rockstar's peeking in on us. We have to show Rockstar that,
You can be calm.
We really can be a calm classroom. So let's pull this. Let's all be rock stars today. Let's pull this together. Let's show him that it's safe for him to come in here. And they had a great day the next day. And then Friday, I didn't want to bring him in Friday. I'm like, we'll maybe start Monday. So Friday, I got a bag of Hershey Kisses and I poured them into a gift bag and I hung the gift bag on the a hook by the flag in the back of the classroom where we keep count of our compliments that we get every day. And I just didn't say anything about it. A couple of kids noticed it when they came in. They're like, what is that? And I was like, what is what? And there's a present hanging there. I was like, oh, I have no idea what that is. We do our morning meeting, which we do every morning. I had put a slide in morning meeting with a picture of Rockstar, and it said, hey, I've been checking in. You guys are doing a great job. I left you a gift of treats in the place where you count your compliments. When all the treat, Mrs. Rose will give you a treat every time she sees you using good self-control. When all the treats are gone, I will come for a visit. So we've got this bag of Hershey Kisses.
Should have got a bigger bag.
Yes. Well, they've been like, how many are left? How many are in there? Because if I hadn't shown it to them, I could have just kept refilling the bag. But
5-year-old.
Anyway, so they got
their little freaking detective 5-year-olds.
Oh my God. So they are earning the Hershey Kisses right now. And it's not completely empty. I have maybe 10 or 12 left. Because I did give one to everybody Monday for the show when they did really good on the show. We'll probably be done Monday. Yeah. So I'm thinking if Monday, then we can start him on Tuesday. And then I only have like a little bit, like a week that I have to deal with him. And he's just going to stay up in the balloons over every table.
I was just trying to remember the sign going into the school where you have certain days off and that early dismissal.
Early dismissal.
That's funny.
Yeah, that did get fixed.
Yeah, they did fix that. There's a marquee that we always poke fun at when we see, because it's like when she got Teacher of the Year, it was up for like
a hot minute.
A minute.
And like hardly long enough for us to get a picture.
And then there's stuff that's like, there were times where there's stuff that's like months old.
Yeah, everything else is up there for like months.
The last month of November, they had all the days that were off, and it was like the whole marquee was like days that were off. It was crazy.
And they did that for December too.
They did it for December.
It's like early dismissal on 12/22, but they spelled it DISIMISSAO. So it said early dismissal. And I noticed things like that. So I was like, oh, I have to mention that to somebody. And I kept forgetting to mention it. So I brought it up at our like principal advisory meeting that I go to. And it's like, oh, by the way, dismissal spelled wrong on the marquee. Oh, yeah, we'll get that fixed. And like the next day it was fixed. But like, we shouldn't really have any words misspelled on the marquee. We're in elementary school.
That reminds me of my favorite story with your mom. Kelly notices this guy's ad. It was a couple years ago. This guy was running for some local thing, and his name was Bob
Tata.
Tata.
Tata. Tata.
But they never said his name in the ad, and it said Tata. So she noticed that there was something wrong with the way they spelled like buses or something.
No, it was his ad was about education, and they maybe even spelled education wrong. It was like a major word that had to do with his stance on education.
So she notices it. She mentions it to your mom. She's like, oh my God. So we should let them know.
No, I didn't say that. I'm like, what a moron. He spelled it wrong. Like, I don't. Mom is like, we should let them know.
We should let them know. So she looks up his campaign website, which was shitty. It was completely shitty. And she finds a phone number on it. So she calls it. Well, it's not to his office or anything. It's to his fucking house.
It was like his private house.
Private house number. He answers and he goes, oh, is this Bob? And I said, Tata. She says, is this Bob Tata?
And he's like, Tata.
Tata. It's Bob Tata. That was the best.
You should have said Tatas, and she would have repeated Tatas. Like, that would have been hilarious. Is this Bob Tatas? It's like a titty bar.
It's like a titty bar. It's Bob Tatas.
Anyway, so that was my
that was your fuck up of the week. Fuck up of the year, actually.
I mean, I really didn't think it would go further than, oh, that was weird. Like their imaginations are just,
Because that's all
I
they
I
had. They've been locked
definitely
up.
learned something about my class
Yeah.
because
You've got a few years of this to come because the next year, it'll be kids that have been locked up for the beginning part of their
yeah, but they're
lives.
not locked
The
up
year after
anymore though.
that,
They'll
they're
be have gone to pre-K and
mm,
like they're not locked up anymore.
mm,
So,
hopefully. But yeah,
it was crazy. I mean, it was funny afterwards. Like I immediately was like, oh my
but
God.
during it, you're like, Jesus.
Like, what do I do? So often do I really just, I'm racking my brain. I have like no idea what the hell to do.
But your solution was brilliant.
Yeah, I did come up with a pretty decent solution and it did help them
Calm
calm
down,
down.
figure
Although
shit
the
out.
mistake I made yesterday with the Hershey Kisses was I said, when you normally when I give them candy, like at the end of the day, if they get treasure box or whatever, I don't like to give out a ton of candy and I don't let them eat it at school. I always say, this is your parents' decision when you can have it. But the Hershey Kisses, I was like, you know what? As soon as you earn it, you can eat it. That was a mistake. Because I immediately, of course, you have to give a lot away right away to kind of reinforce what you're doing. And so
I only bought one like regular size
jacked
bag
a few
too.
of
I
them up
fucked
on
up.
sugar. Enough though. I mean, it was good. But yeah. And then we had that same child get into a loop a few other times where we had to call somebody like, can you just come and take her to another place for a couple minutes and break her out of this, whatever it is that's going on in her head, because she is not even hearing me. Like you could say, okay, look, yes, but we have to get this done. No. I have to tell you this, and she's just on and on and on about,
Whatever.
It's so much to the fact that she talks about monsters and things like that. Well, we had a teachers meeting in my classroom, and one of the teachers left a Monster energy drink, and I texted a bunch of people like, as sure as nobody claimed it, and so I just put it on my shelf. And
was it open?
No, it wasn't open. Yesterday, one of the teachers, like an assistant who's subbing for one of our teachers, came in and she goes, do you have a Monster in here? And I was like, don't even start. No, there are no monsters. There are no ghosts. She goes, no, like an energy drink. I was like, oh, please don't talk about monsters. I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah, those are expensive. They're like $4 a bottle or per can or whatever the hell.
Yeah. She's like, man.
Richard used to drink that, or I imagine he still does.
I wouldn't know that it was an energy. It was like a
Monster
strawberry lemonade, something or other.
It's still an energy drink. They pack it full of a bunch of caffeine and whatnot.
I'm afraid to drink those. I feel like my heart goes.
I tried to drink a Red Bull one time, and I legitimately thought I was going to die. My heart started racing, and I thought, "This is it. I fucked up."
Especially you, as much coffee as you drink.
Yeah.
I mean, you take in a lot of caffeine every day.
Yeah. I was so frightened that this was, my heart started thumping so bad. I was like, I fucked up. This is going to put me down. I'm going to have a heart attack from drinking a Red Bull. Finally, I calmed down, but I was just like, oh my God, I don't see how anybody drinks that shit. And it didn't taste good either. It wasn't like it was, tasted great. And,
you just become dependent. Like you're dependent on the coffee, the caffeine from the coffee that people just
I'll drink Gatorade. I like the taste of Gatorade sometimes. Good Gatorade is good.
It has to be really cold.
Yeah. It's got
Once it gets warm, it just tastes like crap.
Yeah. But, one of those damn Red Bulls, man.
One of my kids said this week, what was it that we were looking at a book, something, and he asked me what something was, and it was tea, like tea bag in a cup with, I said, oh, that's tea. I said, have you ever had tea? And he said, yes, I don't like it. He goes, it tastes like hot water. And I was like,
he's not wrong.
Robin said, that's what Ted Lasso would say. Which, by the way, I finished Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Finally, I know I'm really late to the party on the Ted Lasso thing.
It's really
loved it. And then I watched a recommendation from my assistant principal, Welcome to Wrexham, which is a docuseries. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McAnally purchased a
soccer or a
football team in Wrexham, Wales. And it is so good.
Yeah.
And I am not a football.
It's on Hulu.
I'm just not into.
So, and they don't censor it. It was on Netflix or apparently FX, but it's uncensored on Hulu. So you get all the cool cursing.
I mean,
the coach
so
alone.
Good. By the end of it, I was like rooting for this team. Like, I'm a Wrexham fan, and I want to know how this team is doing. And I mean, I was on the edge of my seat at the last episode.
It's a crazy system they have.
Oh, it's a crazy system.
You've learned a bit about, what their system is. It's not like the professional sports here at all.
No, he said, imagine the Yankees lose, like the season. They come in second or third to the end in the season.
Mm-hmm.
They get demoted down to the minor leagues. And then you've got the Yankees playing like the Cincinnati Mud Hens or something.
Yeah.
And if they keep losing, they keep getting demoted down leagues. That would be equivalent to what would happen.
This was a team that was at one point in the Premier League, and then at some point they just started, falling, and they were on the lowest league.
The lowest professional league.
The lowest professional league was fixing to get bumped out of the professional league and going into,
obscurity.
Hey, you're just, you don't really exist anymore.
And they're the oldest football stadium complex or whatever in
the world.
In the world, like the actual
stadium
and stuff where they play.
Yeah.
It was so good because really the show is about the team, but it's also about the town and the people in the town, and
you see Ryan and Rob up throughout, but they're not
really the focus of it. And it's so good. So if you haven't watched Welcome to Wrexham, you need to watch it. Season 2, I know they're doing a season 2. That's probably how they're paying.
They just finished. They must have just put it up because they were showing games that they were playing in May of this year. So.
Yeah. So the soccer or the football season is long there. Yeah. They play for a long time.
Throughout the winter too. And it's not like that place is warm.
And then they play cups or tournaments during their normal season. So they'll play a team and they'll be like, okay, this is a game for this whatever cup that's going on, not an actual league game. But it's just in the normal schedule of their games.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the tournament happens over 2 weeks and then it's done. Like they just match the teams up and they play throughout the season, which is
so
really interesting. Anyway, I loved that. So
yeah, that was fun to watch. I watched it too, and it was pretty fun to watch.
Now I'm because of Rob McAnally. I can never get his name right. I went and started watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The first few episodes were freaking hilarious. So now I think I'm going to get, but there's 13 seasons to that show.
Yeah, there's a lot of viewing. But you hate Charlie Day. So
I can't stand Charlie Day. And that might be why I can't get through it. Because I watched maybe 3 episodes. At the end of the 3rd episode, I was like, I cannot stand it. I can't stand his whiny, nasally voice. It just drives me crazy.
As much as you loved Horrible Bosses.
I did, but I couldn't stand him.
Yeah, he was there's
a limit to what I can take. So that might hinder my Always Sunny watching. But the episodes were hilarious. I mean,
I haven't started watching that yet. I might start watching that tomorrow or whatever. Maybe.
I don't binge. I'm surprised. Now I'm okay, what do I binge next? I have a I like dark, inappropriate humor.
Mm-hmm.
I like profanity and taboo topics. And I mean, that's the kind of thing I enjoy. I don't like the romance stories. I don't like the old English, period things. To me, I want to hear you making fun of people. I don't know why. I just appreciate that type of humor.
Yeah.
That's why I love Tell 'Em Steve Dave so much, because they're not afraid to just say things that are highly inappropriate. And many times while listening to that, I was like, how are they not canceled?
Yeah.
But they have this.
We heard their our favorite dump out because they were talking about the Casey Anthony case. This is back when the Casey Anthony case was going on. and they were talking about because they literally had released the verdict, and they were talking
They
about
were
it live.
recording their show when the verdict came down, so they were reading
Yeah,
it as it.
and then Brian Johnson says something about he's like, how come white people don't celebrate white people getting released like the black people do with OJ? And then Walt's like, tell him, Steve, Dave,
Which is
this is how they dump out.
Yeah, like we're not getting into this conversation, which was funny.
It was a way of like avoiding that particular hot topic.
Now I don't like explicit sex and that kind of thing. I don't want to. I don't want that, but I want like
that
just
Bridgerton
funny
one that your mom watched with the period piece where there was straight porn at the end of it.
So it's hard for me to find shows that I really can.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso was good because it wasn't clean, the language and all, but the content of it wasn't inappropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't put your 6-year-old in front of it because the F word was every other word in that show, especially from some of those players. Roy
Kent, yeah.
Which I appreciate. Like he's one of my favorite characters because of that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't raunchy. It wasn't like there's a sweet spot for me with what I find funny. And so it's hard to like pick up new shows because sometimes I'm like, there's too much romance in this, or there's too much, slapstick comedy in this. Or, I don't know. I tend to stick to things I like and not peek out of the box at all. So
I started watching, and it's all right, but the Disney Plus has a Santa Claus series based off of the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies. Like the first one was obviously a classic, and then the ones after that were just shit. But it's the Santa Claus movie, and now they're doing a series where basically he's retired or retiring, and it's all right. It's not great, but
Can I put something out here that I cannot stand? Pop Christmas music.
Yeah.
If I want to listen to Christmas music, I want to listen to the classic Christmas music. I want to hear even just instrumental Christmas music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear pop music. I don't want to hear country music Christmas. I don't want to hear heavy metal Christmas, whatever. I don't want new pop Christmas music. I cannot stand it. I will listen to the same Silent Night over and over again. I will listen to Carol of the Bells. I'll listen to Mannheim Steamroller. All that's great. But you stick Backstreet Boys in there, or I don't even know who I don't want to listen to Taylor Swift singing Christmas music.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey.
I tried to throw on the current country crowd, and I don't know who they are.
I get in the car and the radio is set to Jolly Country Christmas, and I literally can't change. I won't listen to anything. I just turn it off. I'd rather have silence. I'm not a big country music fan anyway, but Kevin has a very wide variety in taste of music. I listened to some music on the way to school yesterday, but I fall back on my standards.
Yeah.
Hamilton, my favorite tracks from the Hamilton soundtrack, and things I can just belt them out and really enjoy. But I kind of stick to that. I'm not a music person either.
Yeah.
I don't like Christmas movies. I'm not a big like Hallmark Christmas movie. Oh, I can't. I don't like pop Christmas music.
There are some really, really good Christmas movies though. You got like HBO Max has got Elf.
I mean, Elf and Spirited, I super enjoyed.
Spirited was real good. Four Christmases is on HBO Max.
Just don't put any Hallmark Christmas movies in front of me because they all have the exact same plot. They're so corny.
Yeah.
It doesn't put me in the Christmas spirit.
No, it's always the same plot. And
Santa behind me right here getting ready to kick me in the head. Anyway, so that was my week. I also completely bailed on the Wonder Plan over Thanksgiving, and I gained 8 pounds.
Yeah, but you've lost it all since then.
And I said to myself, like, all right, Monday, I'm going back to my Wonder skills. Everything I was doing before, I'm going to really be careful about it Monday through Friday. And then through the holidays, the weekends are going to be a little bit, not going to go crazy, but they can be a little bit more,
free.
free, like somebody in my house, and I'm not going to say who it is, but his name rhymes with Heichel, bought Swiss cake rolls
Yeah.
and Little Debbie Christmas tree snacks. And I'm about ready to walk down that hallway and kick him in the ass. I am not going to be
My
able
weakness
to.
is
Oh,
cookies,
and
and
he
there's
drinks.
always cookies in the house, especially if they're like cinnamon raisin or what do they
Those
call them, the
oatmeal
oatmeal
raisin
raisins.
cookies from Harris
Oh my
Teeter were the best
god!
oatmeal raisin cookies I ever ate.
God damn it! Punch to the balls.
I'm not going to be able there by the end of the day today. I will have a Swiss cake roll.
Yeah, I can't even argue about it because I'm like eyeballing the Christmas trees a little. Yeah,
Anyway,
it's so hard. It
so
really is.
Monday through Friday, I stuck to it. I just did not eat breakfast. I had my peanut butter sandwich, my veggie straws. Friday, I had peanut butter sandwich, veggie straws, and an oatmeal cookie, oatmeal raisin cookie. Then I just ate normal dinner. I didn't snack at night, and I lost 7 pounds this week. I don't know how I lost 7 pounds, but all the Thanksgiving weight that I put on, I lost within a week. Just going back to the wonder skills. So those skills work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got up this morning and ate breakfast, but I'm not eating lunch. So I'm limiting myself to 2 meals a day. Not limiting myself because I'm really just truly not hungry. I don't want to eat 3 meals a day if I'm not hungry 3 times a day.
There you go.
And so during the week, our lunchtime is 10:50. So it's so early that I could just skip breakfast and just eat lunch. Because once I start working, I'm busy anyway. I'm not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the kids go and I'm hungry and I'll eat. And then I can make it until 5:30 at dinner without a problem. So I just enjoy eating breakfast. And so Kevin made some scrambled egg. You made fried eggs this morning and sausage.
Fried eggs,
so I had that
and a toast.
And I'm not hungry right now. I'll just wait until dinner. I can make it through what's almost 4:00 right now. I'll wait, probably have a tuna sandwich. We still have tuna?
Yeah.
Probably have a tuna sandwich for dinner. And then I'll be good to go. Swiss cake roll tucked in there somewhere. But I was happy that the weight came off.
Mm-hmm.
I do notice I've been walking around. Gotta talk about our shopping adventures.
The reason we didn't record last week, we were busy. We were busy. Like Saturday, we decided to get some last minute or some extra stuff for the outside. So Kelly got up early and we went to.
I blew his mind.
She said, "Let's go to Target."
Which normally means let's go to Target and I'll wait in the car while you run in and get whatever we need.
But no, she went into the Target. I was like, oh shit. You know, the Target's interesting because they had first thing you walk in there and they have this wall of matching like pajamas and shirts and stuff that
I was ready to spend $50 as soon as I rolled in the door because I was in the little cart. I had coffee with a friend who said, I just go in and get in the cart and go because if I don't do that, I'm just not gonna ever go anywhere. And I was like, why the hell am I? Let's just go.
Let's just do it.
$191 later, as we're leaving Target, I'm like, this is why I don't go shopping.
We pretty much got all of our
spent a lot of money, most of it. Yeah. And then we went to Walmart, and then later on that day, or it was the next day, I went and actually walked through Big Lots.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And then I had a hard time sleeping a lot of nights because my knees ached so bad.
You did Walmart, Target, and Big Lots. Uh-huh. I was kidding around with her. I said, if you wanted to do the four-factor, we could go to Ollie's and just be.
I won't do that. My knees have been aching a lot, though.
Yeah.
Just because I have arthritis. I have no cartilage in either knee. Yeah. I'm bone on bone in both knees. And so walking, actually, the walking doesn't hurt. It's the after the walking that hurts.
Yeah.
But it hasn't hurt like acute pain. It's just achy pain, and which I'm taking as a good sign.
Yeah.
That's probably how I ended up losing weight, as I did a little more walking this week than normal too.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
So there was that. What else?
And then we went looking at lights. Which was nice. We went through the campground that we like. There's a KOA up off of was it General Booth?
Excuse me.
The KOA, like you're heading towards the ocean front, and it's $25, but it
$30.
was
We paid
$30. Yeah,
33 because we had a credit card.
yeah.
$33. It wasn't worth $33.
I almost got in
Let's
for
be honest.
free, but I was, stupidly honest.
My honest husband here.
Yeah,
They were like, "Oh,
I didn't do the.
that's a
It's like, you going
callback to
through
our
again?
to her.
No.
Yeah. We pulled up and she's like, "Oh, is this your second time through?" And Kevin's like, no, it's our first time." She goes, "Oh, okay, well, $33."
Yeah.
Like, damn it, because they do let you go through twice. It was much better the second
Try and
time.
stop me, bitch.
The first, while you're rolling like 2 miles an hour through the campground, they're trying to chase you down. The first time through got ruined by Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
They were like, "You want to go through again?" And we're like,
the
"Sure."
radio, and then fucking Mariah
Kevin
Carey
turned the
came
radio
on.
off, so we were just watching flashing lights with no music.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth $30, I don't think.
No, it was.
That's
20,
a lot of money.
But
I'd have paid
33
20. I mean, I
yeah.
paid 30, but we're going tonight, I think, to
Chesapeake.
somewhere in Chesapeake. They have a ranch out there that's doing lights, and
They just want a donation, which
I think it's
get a couple
free.
bucks somewhere.
People keep asking how much is it, and they keep saying it's free. But they have Triple R Ranch. We couldn't find anything for Triple R Ranch. Well, what the hell? Anyway, comes up in my, wait a minute, maybe it's in people. Maybe it's in people. There we are. No, that can't be it. Anyway, I'll find it, but I think we're gonna drive out there tonight and do that.
Bring in your mom and dad and Michael along with.
Yeah.
Tilly be by herself.
Oh, we could bring Tilly.
We could bring Tilly. Michael would like that. She might not like that, but we'll see. We took her for a little ride a couple weeks back, and she wasn't super happy about it. But we went down to the ocean front. We took her down to the ocean front, and the odd thing is that apparently it was Jeep week, and there was Jeeps all over the place. We took us a little bit to figure it out. It's like we finally saw this parking lot with nothing but Jeeps in it, and then there was a sign, "Welcome Jeep Week." Like,
Last week we saw the remnants of the Christmas parade.
Yeah,
because we went down there after the parade was over, but we saw the Grinch walking down the street and some of the trailers that were pulling the floats.
Yeah.
Like leaving. So it was over. But a lot of people in festive wear, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah. They don't do the drive-through at the botanical gardens anymore. They still do it on the ocean front, but I mean,
when they did the drive-through at Botanical Gardens, it was $25 to drive your car through there. Beautiful. Now it's a walkthrough. You walk through it. It's like a mile-long walk, and they charge $25 a person. Can you imagine?
No. See, that's crazy.
So they're doing the same setup, but making 2 or 3 times the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because where you could get all 4 people in for $25 in your car, now it's $100 to do a walkthrough.
And that ain't worth it.
No.
It's
The lights
not.
are pretty, but I'm not paying $50.
I was looking forward to it too, because we got the big sunroof, and going through, there's a particular part where you go over this little bridge, and it's a bunch of trees above it, and they light it all up. So it's like, white light above you.
Yeah, it's very,
That'd be
very
nice.
pretty.
That would have been nice, but no,
I'm not paying that. Inflation.
Where I have to walk a mile? Nope.
In the cold.
In the cold.
$50 cheaper.
They're not even going to do the damn trams. No. The hell do they do with the trams now? Are they even running?
I don't know. You can join Botanical Gardens and then you get discounted rates to walk through, but you have to pay to join them for like a yearly membership.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, we don't go there on a normal basis. So anyway, what else happened this week, Kevin? Anything you want to talk about?
The big story of the week nationwide was Brittany Garner getting released from the Russian prison. It was
They traded her for somebody like really bad though, right?
The merchant of death, a guy named Blount, who was one of the largest arms dealers of all time. So, I'm glad she's out. I'm glad she's home. I mean, it's hard to, you can be critical of the trade, but she's free. Everybody's happy about that. No one's like saying she shouldn't be free. It's just
But how many
it's a
people?
hard trade.
And I'm not saying I don't know a lot of details about it, so I'm not saying whether I agree or. I mean, I like you. I'm glad she's home.
Yeah.
But how many people are going to die from the actions this guy's going to go right back to doing?
There's Well, it goes to the Batman Joker debate that I've seen a lot on TikTok lately for some reason. Batman won't kill the Joker. Well, motherfucker keeps killing people. The guy's got like a body count in the thousands. So every time Batman locks him up, he's responsible for the next round of killing that the guy's going to do. So that's the argument.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know a lot about the case. I know she got busted for marijuana.
She went to Russia to
Play
basketball in the off season, and she had some oil, like the oils that people like rub
Like
on their
CBD?
skin, like CBD oil, but it was actually hashish oil, which is like a little bit more powerful derivative. It's more powerful than CBD, but not like full blown pot or whatever. And they pretty much locked her up because of who she was. She was a semi celebrity. She was just basically a pawn in the political game because they knew that they were going to get ready to start some shit in the Ukraine.
Now,
so
I mean, can't they just say, "Hey, we're going to lock her up for this little minor offense that we normally would not look at because we want to trade her for somebody big"?
Yeah,
because the United States will make a trade with us.
We have, before.
And so they're going to throw people who in this country wouldn't even get a side eye for that.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and take her and then trade her. It's like hostage negotiation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So why would any American go there?
They shouldn't. If you have any plans to go to Russia, no, that's not a good idea.
I mean, they could pick you up for, you walked in the wrong direction on that side of the street.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't know. Well, sorry. Not knowing
it's like that Warm Bear kid that went to North Korea. What the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
Why would you go there?
Is he the one that was caught vandalizing something?
That was their claim, that he was vandalizing the hotel he was at. But really what it was, he was like apparently like taking selfies in front of a sign or whatever, and they called it vandalizing. And they beat the shit out of that kid.
Yeah, I mean, there's just places
to the point where he was near to death, and they said, okay, we'll release him to your custody. Kid gets on a plane, he gets home just in time to die. It's fucked up.
Yeah. I know, but people, are going to do what people are going to do.
Yeah. So I'm glad she's home. There is the caveat that now this guy who's like one of the worst people ever is going to be out there doing his thing, which is not good for anybody. But, what are you going to do?
It's ironic that they let an arms dealer out.
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing. Biden tweeted that, he's going to get back on the banning assault rifles or whatever. And somebody was like, dude, you just let the biggest arms dealer in the world go.
Well, I mean, whatever. There's deals happening all over the place. Who knows anything?
It's all dirty shit. All dirty shit.
Treetops glisten and children listen to nothing. Children literally don't listen to anything. Oh, it's true. It'd be funny if it wasn't true.
All right. So we got I guess, what would you do?
What would you
Table
do?
topics.
If a coworker needed to leave early and asked you to punch their time card for them, would you do it?
No. Well, first of all, that's kind of not possible for me anyway.
No, me either, but
yeah, but probably not. I'd try to work something out with the boss. But Cox is actually pretty good about it. Like if you have something come up, they're really generally pretty good about letting you go. So I've never had, and Canon, when I worked at Canon, they were the same thing. I mean, there was a time when I just basically told my boss I'm out and left. Didn't clock out or nothing. I just said, my dad just got sent to the hospital. I'll see you Monday. And got in the car, and I made it from Chesapeake to OBC in like 20 minutes. It's crazy.
I think the difference is the level of job. Like if you're talking about uh kids working at McDonald's, their bosses might not be as accommodating as someone in a
Oh,
more professional.
yeah, but they'd also notice too, you know.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like you say, I'll just work it out with the boss. Well, there are particular jobs and levels of jobs where there's not very much understanding for, you know.
Yeah, but by covering, you're going to lose your job too, you know.
No, I'm
So,
not saying cover, but I'm just saying
yeah,
you made it sound like it was just so easy to just tell you Rush had to leave early, and there's no.
I get
Some
what you're
people
saying.
do that, and they're like, well, if you have to leave early, you're fired. But I think the higher up you go in the professional level of your job, the less you run into that.
True that. True that.
So the more money you make, the more not always,
Remember
but
that, kids. All right. If you had to choose between something illegal but morally correct or legal but immoral, which would you pick? They have to be a little bit more specific to that, I guess.
all right.
Because
Well, let's say this. If you have a loved one dying of a terminal illness and there is no turnaround and that person is suffering and they have said, I do not want to live with this anymore. Assisted suicide is illegal, but maybe to you morally correct because that person should have hey, my body, my choice, right? That person should have the right to choose whether or not they live through the rest of
I get
that
what you're
or
saying.
not. So by assisting them, that might be morally correct for you and however you feel about that, but it's illegal. Versus legally, you have to let that person continue to suffer. But you know in your heart what you're doing is immorally wrong
Yeah, I
because
get what you're saying.
which would you choose?
I
I
think
would
I
choose
would.
to assist the
Yeah,
person.
I would as well. Because
But that, I mean, that also goes to my belief that a person should have the right to
yeah,
make that decision
and
for
I think
themselves.
that's something that's coming.
I honestly feel like suicide being illegal in the first place is ridiculous.
Yeah, because if you're successful, then what are you going to do? You're not going to do time. You're going to do time in hell, but that's about it.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
But I mean, especially the terminal and people who are like,
yeah.
there is no recovery. This is just going to be your suffering life for however long you handle. To me, you should be able to make that decision.
And we've both known people that
Mhm.
were like that. My dad, I love my dad. I miss my dad, but at the end of it, he was just in a lot of pain.
And your dad, though, when it came to the very end, was not.
No.
I mean, that was just a matter of turning off machines. They had him on
Mhm.
life support. That's
Yeah.
different. I'm saying someone who's
In a lot of pain.
still capable of making a decision and like, what kind of life am I living now? I'm a burden to everybody. I'm in pain all the time. I don't want to live like this anymore. You should be able to say, look, doc, whatever you prescribe me next, let that be the last thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
You go a little hard on the morphine that one last time, you know?
yeah, that shouldn't be
Don't do
illegal,
like
in
the
my
Shiloh
opinion.
case
So,
where they let that woman starve to death.
well, they had people fighting over whether she should be alive or not
yeah, but
because she wasn't capable of making her own decision.
yeah.
Again, she was not conscious.
I get no, don't get me wrong. I agree with the decision to let her go. I don't agree with how they let her go. Because they pulled the feeding tube and then she starved to death.
Right.
It
I
took
mean, you
her
should be able
days
to.
do it. They should
There is
have
medication that
pumped her
can
full of
finish you in a.
morphine and then like, oh well, we fucked up the dosage, you know. Oh, that sucks. We fucked up the dosage.
I bet that happens a lot.
Yeah, probably.
All right. So in that particular situation, I would choose the illegal, morally correct thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it should be illegal. I guess that's.
There you go.
If you'd ordered food to go and decided you didn't want it, would you still pick it up?
I have. Yeah. It's like, well, because the big example I'm thinking of that
Generally,
is
you're charged
steak and
for it
wake.
ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, we went to used to be a steak and shake over out here on General Booth. It's closed now because they just could not get their shit together. But we went there and ordered food and sat there for like an hour and a half, and they didn't even bring us our drinks yet. It was crazy.
But this is like you place a to go order. Generally, to place a to go order, Well, no, we call PMS Deli. You don't pay ahead of time, do you? You pay when you get in there.
Yeah.
So would you order and then just never go pick it up?
I have done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things happen. I
You order from Chick-fil-A and then we go to the wrong one.
Yeah, but they don't make your food until you get there.
Yeah.
So they're not out. PMS Deli is going to make your food.
Yeah, they would be out. I
And
wouldn't
then
go
they
to
would be out.
PMS Deli.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good anyway, and they always treat us real nice. So
Yeah. Plus at Chick-fil-A you pay ahead of time.
yeah.
So they're not losing money either way. Now I have ordered stuff at Michael's, but again I paid for it and then never went and picked it up, but I got refunded because I never picked it up.
Yeah.
So that's different. But I guess like food, I don't know. I think if I ordered it, I'd go pick it up. Unless I didn't have the
Especially
money.
if it's some place that's making the food, because then you're just letting food go to waste, and
Yeah.
they're losing money. So it's a double loss for them.
Which is shitty. Yeah. And generally, it's the small businesses that
do
like
that.
The independent ones that don't make you pay up ahead of time. Yes, you're hurting them just even worse.
There you go. If you found $200 at an ATM, would you return it to the bank?
I'm not answering this question. Because I took some heat about Joe Bezos's wallet.
Really?
From my family.
Huh?
Y'all were like, you would keep the money out of his wallet? I'm like, fuck yes. So I'm not answering this question. What would you do?
That's a hard one. That is a real hard one. I probably would bring it into the bank.
You probably would.
Yeah.
I probably would not.
Although
you're at an ATM, you're on camera. So, I mean.
Yeah.
But
my brother's probably like, that dumbass.
He was the guy who's like, did you pay to get through? This your second time? Oh no, we're gonna pay to go through first time around.
Well, the one time I tried to lie about shit, you were like,
I called you out on it. I didn't want to lie about the
cripple sticker.
The cripple sticker, because it's not mine and hers would be revoked if, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Who's your cripple party?
He starts to point to me and I'm like,
my hand's fucked up.
Yeah, is the handicapped person in the car? And he's like, and I'm like, no. And he goes, you did not expect me to say that. You were like, I'm good. This is it. I'm gonna lie and get in for free. And and then I bitch at him because he lies at the. Yeah, you can't win, can you? You're stuck. He would return the $200. I know you. Yeah. I know you. What do you think I would do?
You probably would return it. You'd probably hate it, but
I would be like, I'm either going to walk into this bank, stand in line, stand at the counter, talk to a person about how I found $200, and they're going to go, oh, well, why are you returning? Oh, okay, thank you. Or I'm just going to walk back to my car with the $200.
Depends on if the bank's open, is really what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't ever go to the ATM when the bank is open. If you were very attractive, would you use your looks to get ahead? You wouldn't have to consciously do it. It would just happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's like how you get out of a ticket. Oh, you got out of a ticket just because you did this number. The cop showed up. Oh, great. I got a ticket.
That's right. Guy wasn't going to let me out of that speeding ticket that day, even though I was laughing about not wearing my seatbelt, and he was giving me a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, and I just laughed. I was like, my husband is gonna think this is hilarious. Guy could have been like, oh well.
Should have pulled down some shirt and been like,
it wouldn't have mattered. He would have given me a ticket for indecent exposure. But if I had been of another appearance, it probably wouldn't even been pulled in the first place.
There you go.
So, I mean, you can use your looks to get ahead, but you don't really need to. You're just probably...
Hot chicks still get pulled over, but they get out of
They get pulled over because the guys want to talk to them and all. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's different. It's innate in human nature that the more attractive you are, it's biological.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to use being attractive to get ahead. It's just... Generally, people like that are more confident. They're more go-getter types. They're not as afraid of as much. They're going to put themselves out there, and therefore they're going to get ahead. So it's not like you're using it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I think. Now I know. No, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Is torture
There are a
ever
lot of
justified?
unattractive, successful people. So
Yeah.
let me just say that.
Is torture ever justified?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you not agree with me on that either?
I struggle with that because I know that during the Bush era, they were doing some torture and they apparently did get usable, actionable intelligence out of it. So the idea that they don't get anything out of it is completely false, verifiably false. Is it wrong? Right? No, not even a little bit.
I don't have a problem with it. It depends on the level of the crime the person committed. If they orchestrated planes to get into fly into the Twin Towers,
Yeah.
and 3,000 Americans died because of it, I don't mind waterboarding a person like that. They deserve it. In my head. Now, if they, did some petty crime, some drug thing, like, I don't think you should have your fingernails pulled off to give up where you're hiding the drugs. That, no. But like, it just depends on the level of the crime.
Yeah.
And the criminal.
That's where like I said, I struggle with it. There's no clean answer, yes or no. To be honest with you.
You are much more in your head about things than I am. I just go with my gut on shit like that.
Yeah.
Believe in the death penalty? Yes, I do. And you're like, no, I have a problem with it.
I used to be all for the death penalty. I really was. I just, I learned things, read things, and I was like, you know what? The government fucks up a lot.
This is hilarious because people who know us in our life know you as the crazy one and me as the level-headed one. And when we actually talk about it, I'm the one that's more hardcore on the line, and you're the one that's more like, well, let's look at the different angles.
A lot of people think I'm closed-minded, but I get accused of that a lot.
He is the least closed-minded person I know, because this dude actually pays attention to all sides of an issue.
Yeah.
Not like me. I generally only pay attention to the side of an issue that I agree with. I don't dig deep into the other side. I have a gut feeling, I go with it. I agree with a lot of, I am a middle of the road walker, so it's hard for me to like take a side one way or the other politically. But like, death penalty, if the person is absolutely positively guilty of a heinous crime, I have no trouble with the death penalty. What's the guy who mowed down those people at that Christmas parade and then tried to defend himself and made a mockery of all the court hearings and everything? He killed 36 people intentionally.
Yeah.
He should have gotten the death penalty.
Intentional murder, any type of intentional murder, they should never see the light of day.
I mean, there was no doubt that he did it.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Now, if there's doubt there, that's a different story for me. But like the kid who they have on camera walking into the school shooting people up, there's no doubt it was him. And if he gets out of that alive, he should be getting the death penalty. That kid in Florida that they didn't give the death penalty to should have gotten the death penalty. He did some kind of plea, whatever, to get out of the death penalty. That's bullshit.
Well, they do that to save money on the trial.
I don't care.
Because that trial that big.
I just don't care. So the money is more worth it than justice for that person and those families that lost their children. To me, it isn't about try him. Or he says, I did it. Say, okay, I'm sorry, then death penalty for you. It should be simple. But, lawyers get involved. And then there's all these. I'm a lot more hardcore on that than Kevin is.
Yeah.
People see you as the hardcore one, and it really isn't that way. You act more hardcore, and I act more, but really and truly how we feel is completely opposite of what we act out. Isn't that funny?
It is weird.
I just kind of realized that. I know I do it. I know when I'm around certain friends, or I'm real careful about what I say about my own opinion. And I agree with things on all sides, so it's easy for me just to play along.
When we're around
but you don't do that. You state your opinion, and so people think you're more hardcore. Right. But your opinion has been reached because you're more open-minded.
Yeah. Well, I have like principles that I hold that are paramount to my viewpoint, and they are, free market, limited government, liberty. And versus, what everybody else seems to think is a good idea. Let's let the government do this. Well, the government's going to fuck it up. You know why I know that? Because they fuck it up every time.
Yeah.
And not just the United States government, the government. When I say the government, I mean the Chinese, the Russians, Venezuela, France, whoever the government is going to fuck it up. Doesn't matter which government is, they are going
Well,
to
that's
fuck it
one
up.
thing he's not open-minded on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's funny.
I got history on my side there, though.
I think that's funny.
Mm.
I like an issue will come up and I'll agree with an issue to a point.
Mm.
And then after that point, I don't agree with it anymore. And so if you come out and you say, oh, I'm not really sure, then you're immediately deemed like this horrible person. Like, the big topic now in schools is like banning books. I am not a proponent of banning books. I think books, whatever someone writes, should be made available to people.
Mm.
However, there's a
there is
caveat for me because I'm like, all right, when you're talking about books in a school,
Yeah, school library is different than
you
a public
have to
library.
keep in mind like the appropriateness of the material for the age level.
Right.
And do I agree that books that deal with gender identity and LGBTQ issues should be available? Yes, 100%. They should not be kept out.
Right.
I do not believe that sexually explicit material should be allowed. There's a line there for me.
Yeah.
You know, so when I come out and I don't believe in banning books, but there are some books that I'm like, that book doesn't belong. Now, should they ban it from a public library?
Absolutely.
Or a bookstore? No,
Absolutely
completely not. Like if that kid wants to read it, they should be able to get their hands on it, their parents, whatever. I think that we're exposing our kids to sexually explicit material way too early.
Absolutely.
You know, now that is different than LGBTQ and gender identity. I do think those kids need to have literature that they connect with. They need to see themselves reflected in the literature in their buildings. I 100% agree wholeheartedly with that. It's important. I don't think we need to be showing scenes of like actual explicit sex or rape or things like that. They just don't, in my opinion, belong in a public school library. But to say that some people will see you as supporting a ban, and I don't. Right. So it's hard to find like the right.
Well, I think you got it though. I mean, there is a difference between a school library and a public library. You know, there is a difference. I'm sorry. I mean, granted, they would have access to it at the public library, and they, but even then, I think the only caveat I would have there is that if there is sexually explicit material, that they put a little tag on it that you have to be X age to check it out.
Does a school library have a responsibility to carry Nazi material?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
School libraries?
Not school libraries, no.
So somewhere along the line we deem things inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where you put the needle, I guess.
Well, I guess the basis of what goes into a school library starts with the curriculum.
Now, but knowing about Nazism is part of the curriculum because it's history.
Well, you can have a book about Nazism,
but not supporting Nazism.
Right. I would say if you have a book that's like a factual, this is what happened during the Nazi era.
And more of an opinion piece written by a white supremacist Nazi person.
Probably I would not put that in the school.
No, I don't think it belongs there either. Right.
Yeah, I'd put it in the public library all day long, but in a school setting, they don't need, like if they want to learn that material, then they can go to their parents and say, hey, I'd like to go to the actual library and pick up.
See, these are questions I need to ask because you hear people who are not for banning books. And I'm not for banning books.
No.
But like, where is the needle for them? Because my needle is at like, I don't believe opinion pieces about, white supremacy or whatever belong in a public school library. The same way I don't believe this, like 50 Shades of Grey belongs there. Like, it just doesn't belong there. It's not appropriate.
Not at all.
I'm not banning the book. I'm just saying it's not appropriate.
They shouldn't have the Kama Sutra in the school library. They can have it at the public library, but not the school library. They don't even have
the Holy Bible, I'm sure.
I don't know if they do.
I bet you. I wonder. I've never really. I work in an elementary school, so the level of books in my school library are.
Yeah.
There are still some. Trust me, we still get parents wanting to know.
Dick
but
and Jane get into some weird shit in middle school.
Generally, and I do make an effort to choose books that have characters from different backgrounds. Like you don't want to always portray a white standard family as the key to the book. So sometimes, I mean, I've read books of all different ethnicities and different family structures. Like, you have to present that, because for some kids, that is their normal.
Yeah.
It might not be your normal, it might make you uncomfortable, but the kids in your room deserve to see their reality reflected in literature.
Yeah.
So that is important. But if I have a white supremacist kid in my room, I'm not going to present literature like that to him. It's not appropriate.
Do they have a lot of books where the grandparents are raising the kid?
Because
that's what
I'm sure as you get, see, I'm kindergarten, so my level of book that I'm familiar with, they're generally picture books where most of your characters aren't even human. They're like bunny rabbits or whatever, so
it's the bear.
Exactly. I read a lot of bear books last week. I read a book this week called Imogene's Antlers. One of my kids found it in my library in the classroom, and she's like, "Oh, this is a Christmas book. Let's read this book." It really wasn't a Christmas book, but because it said antlers, they thought it was. And it was written a very long time ago, because you could tell from the language being used and how the parents were reacting, like the mother fainted, and the kids don't know what that means. They freaking loved that book. They loved it. And I'm like, it was so nice to read something that was, old school.
Yeah.
Probably not in print anymore. I don't know.
Probably not.
But this little girl woke up one day with antlers, and they were talking about, and it was very white centric family, because like her housemaid was using it to dry clothes, using her antlers to dry clothes, and the cook was using it to like put donuts on it so she could go out and feed the birds. And so it was a very like affluent white family background of the book. But the little girl, and then the next day she fell asleep, and when she woke up, the antlers were gone, and her family was so happy that the antlers were gone. And she walked into the room and she had peacock feathers.
Aww.
So we talk about, would you rather have antlers or peacock feathers? And like, the kids really, really got into it. So it depends on how you present the book, I suppose.
I would say neither, because they're both pain in the ass.
Oh, it was good. It was cute. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
Do you ever cheat when playing games?
I will say that I have, yes.
Yes.
Particularly like card games, not out and out cheating, but I'll do some devious shit.
When I used to do Wordle, sometimes I would go and like look up words that start with P, 5-letter words that start with P, to get,
I've done that a couple times with this one I do every day, where you're looking at like a flash from a movie, and I'll know the movie, but I can't remember the name of it, but I'll recognize somebody in it, so I'll go look that person up on IMDb and have a general idea where, because my movie knowledge has gone to shit.
Is that Flash? That game Flashed or whatever that you play?
No, it's can't remember the name of it. Cinema or something like that.
Oh, okay. I see you post stuff up sometimes, and I don't know what it is, but
Factal is getting ridiculous. It's hard.
Yeah, I stopped playing Wordle. It was pissing me off, and I wasn't really doing well unless I was cheating. And so what's the point? I just color on my iPad these days. What is that guy doing to his bush? He's literally raking his tree.
What?
See him over in the backyard? He's got the rake, and he's like beating the bushes with the rake. He's probably trying to knock out all the old leaves.
Yeah.
Why bother? I heard that leaving the leaves on your lawn actually helps fortify your soil.
Well, good, because we got to do something about the ones in the backyard. We still got that hole where the
I know. We have a long laundry list of things we have to do.
Yeah.
All right, go.
Cash App K Rose VA. Would you change your religion to be able to marry the person you love? I did not, because she's Catholic and I'm basically nothing. I guess if I had to be anything, it would be, I guess, Baptist. But even then, I'm so lapsed, it's crazy. So I didn't have to do that. I took a beating from the priest.
What if I said I can't marry you unless you're Catholic? Would you have converted?
Got married, yeah.
Really?
Probably. I mean, why the person I love would not make somebody do that. You know what I'm saying?
So if I was like devout Catholic.
If you were devout Catholic,
but the same person, you would have passed.
That's the thing. You wouldn't be the same person.
That's pretty true.
So I mean that's how that goes. That's how I see it. You would not be the same person. You put conditions on our marriage, which, when we're getting married, you were like, I want to do this for my parents. I want to get married in a church. I was like, I'm on board. It wasn't that, I'm forcing you to do this. We talked about it and I was like, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah, I really
it
didn't
wasn't
get married
as
in the church because of mine.
right.
That was, I mean, it was important to me.
And it ended up being a great thing for us.
No, I loved my
It
wedding.
was
Except for the fact that when we went and met with the priest, see, I feel like I have to explain
Yeah.
all of this because I was raised Catholic. I still identify as Catholic. I'm not a religious person. I'm a faithful person. Like, I believe in God and that kind of thing and all of that. But I think as the older I've got, I've had so many situations in dealing with the church that I feel like it's just about money and
I'd say so,
manipulation. And I couldn't square those things. And when we got married, I went to the priest at our church and I had a very open conversation with him about things that have happened in my past with the church and situations that my family has encountered and, my personal opinions and beliefs and whatever. And he said, well, we're going to get it right this time. And he didn't. Because one of the first things they asked that we had to fill paperwork out, and Kevin was living with me at the time. And when he went and filled his address out, when he noticed that the address was the same, he was like, oh, you don't have another address you could use? So Kevin's like, well, I have a house in Suffolk. Well, let's use that address. To me, if we're living together, what difference does it make if we make up an address and put it on a piece of paper?
Yeah,
like there's
that's
no
a
point.
test of his faith. He knows
exactly.
That, and
so he was willing to step back from what the church was saying was appropriate, and I was like, okay. And then he pressured me a lot to go to confession before we married, and I'm not a big believer in confession, so I never did it. And I think because I didn't, his whole attitude changed, which is his right. I mean, he's the priest. So I always feel like if I have sinned against a person, my confession needs to be to the person I sinned against. I have my own personal conversations and relationships with God, and those confessions directly. I don't need to sit in front of a priest and tell him how I've sinned.
Yeah.
That's a power play right there, historically.
Yeah.
Confession was developed so that the priests in the church could learn about and they used information, I'm sure, to manipulate people. I don't need to be sitting in a booth or across from a priest and confessing my sins to him when I could just ask for forgiveness straight from the big guy himself, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it.
There you go.
So I just don't believe in that, and I think that changed his attitude.
Their penance system is suspect anyway. Go say 4 Hail Marys or however.
Now, I love the traditions of the Catholic Church. I love the music. I love everything about, like, I love the way I feel when I leave church. Like, all of those things, it just was one priest after another, after another, after another, that I just couldn't square with what you're saying to me on Sunday and how you're behaving outside of that don't square up to me. Yeah. And I just can't continue to go. And I can lead a faithful, good Christian life without ever stepping foot in the church.
There you go.
So that's my opinion on that. We got married in the church mainly because it was important to my parents. So, and I loved our wedding. I thought it was beautiful.
Our wedding was the best wedding I've ever been to.
Again, it was all the things about church that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't been back to church since then, actually.
No, we haven't. Except for the boys, like confirmations. And
yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff. Like, yeah.
Other weddings and funerals.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't not go to church. It's just, I'm just not one of those religious people.
Yeah. 100%.
What were we talking about? What was the question?
Uh,
Oh, would you change your religion? Yeah. Now, if you had said, I can't marry a Catholic person, I'd be like, I mean, it just never was a big enough thing for either one of us.
Yeah. I mean, I would never ask you to.
I don't really see what
renounce
being Catholic or Baptist or
Catholicism.
Episcopalian or Protestant is. I mean, you're all Christian.
Yeah. I think for some religions, because there is a ethnic tie, like with Jewish and Muslim, there's generally also an ethnic
Well, Jewish people
tie.
are not Christian, though.
Right. But
they don't believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God.
Right. But because it's also an ethnicity as well as a religion.
Right.
They probably are a little bit more hardcore.
To change from being Christian to being Jewish usually is a more important change, because that is a committed change.
Yeah.
To just go from one sect of Christianity to another, to me, doesn't seem like a lot.
Like,
and now the big churches anyway seem to be all non-denominational.
Yeah.
More community centered, which I've thought about attending those.
Yeah.
But then
the one that goes to your school all the time,
I still feel it all boils down to money.
Yeah.
How much money can you give so we can do these things? And, like passing the plate multiple times, and you have to give a certain percentage of your income and that kind of thing. Again, I can't get away from it being just a power play. So, ready?
Yep.
Is pure altruism possible, or is some personal benefit inherent in every act of goodwill?
Yes.
Well, that was a yes. That wasn't a yes or no
Here's
question.
the thing. This goes to a firm belief that I have, that the people say that greed is such a horrible thing. But when you do something nice for somebody, even though you don't get like money out of it, or if you get that feeling that I feel better about myself, and you're greedy for that feeling, you get something out of it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's going to sound silly, but if you watch Scrooge, this is exactly what Bill Murray, who's playing Frank Cross at the end of it, he says, you're going to feel greedy for it. You're going to want to do it all the time. And there is something to be said for that. If your greed doesn't always have to be about money and possession, it could be like, I'm greedy to feel this thing. And to do that, if I have to do this altruistic thing, then great. So the idea that greed is purely evil is such horseshit.
No, people do good because it makes them feel good. And what you're saying is that's what you're getting out of it.
Right.
Is that feeling of,
and if you're
doing good for others,
all the better.
And so there is some inherent benefit.
Yeah.
You're not doing acts of goodwill that cause you harm. You're doing them because they make you feel good.
Yeah.
That's the inherent benefit.
Which is why I'm so easily to say no, or whatever the question was.
Yeah. In Spirited, when we watched that, I thought it was really interesting because the character they were trying to save said, look, I'm not going to change. This is who I am. Now, tomorrow I might do a little better. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I'm not going to go from being a bad, greedy person to being a good, altruistic person overnight. It isn't going to happen. It is okay if I'm just doing the best I can do.
Yeah.
Or if I'm making little steps here and there, or I do one little act of kindness more than I did last week. And I thought that was interesting too. Like, you can't expect someone just to be completely altruistic, that they are just doing good for just the sake of doing good. There's inherent benefit in how it makes you feel.
And I don't have a problem with that. If you're greedy to feel that way, and you're helping folks out or doing whatever, have at it, Hoss.
Now, if you're doing goodwill because it's financially benefiting you,
I don't even mind that.
Yeah, me either. If you're doing goodwill, you're doing goodwill, period.
I remember a couple of years back, there was a meme that was going around about how the goodwill of the company is so horrible because blah, blah, blah. But you know what? They're organized. They take in donations and they resell them to people that are, people that have, they're low income. They might not be able to afford a couch from even the shittiest couch salesman, but somebody donates a couch and they're going to sell it for
$50.
$50. That's a benefit to that poor person that can go in there and buy a couch for $50, you know? So yeah. And if they make a little profit off of it.
Well, I have to tell you, was it the Red Cross? The person who runs the Red Cross making 6 figures or plus a year. Like, that's when you give your money to the Red Cross, you want it to go to helping people, not paying their top.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that too. The other side of that.
I get that as well.
Thank God for the Red Cross, because in times of hurricanes and things, they're there helping people.
Yeah.
We need that. So there's good and bad outcomes with everything.
Charities. I believe charities do better for people than any government program.
100%.
But, you know, I guess when you're running those large, you know, charities, I guess they're those, you know, those people need to get paid too. So.
The government and religion is about power.
Yep. Last one. Would you leave a note if you bumped another car in a parking lot?
If there was no damage, no.
Yeah.
If it was damaged, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an easy question.
Yeah, it's easy.
No deep thoughts with that one. I think we got the title of our episode. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. Remember that?
Yeah. So that's it for this week, everybody.
Next week is a big week, a big social week for this non-social person.
Yeah.
I have multiple Christmas functions to attend.
Well, shit.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to all of it.
Yeah.
I have felt a change.
Yeah.
In myself recently.
Oh, that's good.
So I don't know what's causing it. I was having this conversation with my mom the other day. I take like a daily anxiety medication, low dose of anxiety medication. But in the last few weeks, I feel less of, I just don't worry about shit anymore. Stuff that used to worry me. Now I'm thinking it's freaking 20 minutes out of, this is funny. Let me finish first. It's 15 or 20 minutes out of my day. I can push myself through it. It'll be fine. I'm not going to die. Like, for the last few weeks, that's been my feeling about things. And it's just opened me up a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
But we were getting ready for the program last night. So the teachers were meeting all in the gym because that's where our kids were going to check in with us. And one of the teachers sat down and she was like, oh, let's, get this done. And I'm like, you know what? It's 20 minutes. It'll be over and done. This will be finished. It's like when I go to the gynecologist, I tell myself, it's just 20 minutes. It's just 20 minutes. Like, push through, you get through it, and you have to do it again for a whole nother year. So I think that's kind of been my attitude lately, is just like, why was I so worried about shit like this? Just do it and get it done.
Brought up the other thing that I just remembered, my friend Sherry, who's
I used her post, by the way.
She's the sweetest woman you're ever going to meet. She's like 5'3", 5'4". She's a little itty bitty thing, and she's got health issues. So I call her the juggernaut because she is incredibly upbeat despite all these health issues that she's got. She literally posted on Facebook the other day pictures and a video of her ambulance ride to the ambulance to get from one hospital to another, and like pictures that like just her issues.
No, it was all about how all the horrible health stuff she's gone through, but in like this positive, upbeat, like, here's a picture of the breakfast I had, and you can have this too at Hotel Centera. Like I'm going to tell you, Sherry, I don't know if you listen, but if you do, your upbeat posts really do a lot for me, because Friday afternoon, a couple teachers, this whole program thing had us stressing out a little bit. And I'm like, look, I read the post and I said, this is perspective. Like, if a person going through this, like, life endangering thing can have this positive outlook on life.
And it's every time.
Every time. Never heard her be down about it or be negative about it, and I mean, she's got severe illnesses. I've never heard her be down or I'm like, if that person can post that, we certainly can make it through one night of wrangling kids at 6:30 into a program. Like, it's all about perspective. And so, Sherry, I hope that you're feeling better. You're supposed to get out of the hospital today. I hope that happened. So if you're listening, know that we are not religious people, but we do pray for you. So hopefully you're feeling better and things are going well.
Well, she's the juggernaut, so
She is the juggernaut.
She's the juggernaut.
Yep. Yep. So we don't see her very often, but she does make a big impact on us. So I just wanted to tell you that. Anyway, off until next week. We'll be back with more fun stories. I feel like we had a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about the lights that we're gonna go see, and it's Christmas season, so there's gonna be more shit.
More fun shit.
More fun shit.
All right.
Bye, everybody.